Okay. We start with just a brief moment of quiet time. We have an inner state of awareness that is always at peace. And from there, I can see what I'm thinking. I can see what my emotions are doing. I can see what my body wants to do or is yelling about or whatever. Who am I that can see those things? There's been tons of stuff written on this. Some people call it consciousness, some call it mind with a capital M, some call it the cosmic. I mean, it doesn't matter what you've read or you've called it. The trick is, for mindfulness, what is it in me? Like, what is that? Find it. Can I recognize that state where I can be thoughtless but see my thoughts? Which sounds contradictory, but it's not. There's a state behind our thinking that is always still, and it will give rise to thoughts when needed. But mindfulness is about finding and developing that state of awareness. So we're going to take just one moment now and sit, and we'll see your mind will be busy looking for it and realize, no, that's not it either, because that's my brain looking. But what am I that can do this, can be in this state and see myself? Okay, I know it's a nice space, but we can do that again later. We'll be noisy now for a moment. Mindfulness is one tiny little practice. Everything else is ways we attempt to get our brain to agree to shut up and use mindfulness. But mindfulness itself, it's like breathing. It's a natural part of us. Buddha used it. Zen Buddhism uses it. Jesus used it. Stefan uses it when he's teaching. We all use it. But the practice called mindfulness is this very, very simple one slice. And that's what I offer here. So we begin with, there's two aspects to our human experience. The first I call the natural self, some call it true self, being, the Christ self, yada yada. It is always fully present. It is always at peace. It may even see a fearful situation and say, all right, let's see how this goes. It tends to see in beauty. It has a quiet joy to it. Just cool, I'm here. This is. And one of the things that we can use to identify it is it's open in extension and connection. When you see a beautiful flower or a puppy or somebody you like, you can literally feel your heart or your mind opens up and goes out towards them. That's called extension. It's the state of openness and joining with the rest of creation. So we have that lovely part of us. And we have what I call the animal self. In spiritual teachings, it's sometimes called the ego, though that's misleading, and I'll get to that. The animal self is exactly that. It's like an animal living in the wild. Its concern first is for survival. It's always on the alert for potential threat. It's always scanning its environment for potential threat. From that comes suspicion and uneasiness and all those other fun things that we experience. If it feels it's safe enough to walk up to the cat bowl and get food, it will then relax a little bit, and it will then turn to its next level, which is reproduction. So it's not a surprise that for many of us humans, there's a lot of thought about things associated with reproduction, because that's what the animal is for, is to survive and reproduce. Then, if it gets those two things taken care of, it goes about satiating its individual desires, its own appetites and whatever. There's a blend always of the two aspects. So satiating animal desires alone, we get a trump. But if we allow our awareness to come in, that's where our creative nature also gets expressed. So the point I want to get to quickly is we're not trying to get rid of the animal self, like some teach getting rid of the ego. What we're going to do with mindfulness is learn to reshape it and redirect it by what we know better from our state of awareness. Instead of letting the animal yank us around with all its reactions and impulses and lusts and other desires, just blindly throw us around our experience in the world. If you've already touched the inner peace, you know its value. If you haven't, it's something we need to learn about. Many people don't know it exists even. And that's where all these practices, of Buddhism and contemplative prayer and such come in to begin to be aware of the fact there is a place of peace in me. We often start with, oh, bring me peace, please. I need some peace. I want some peace. But this is where the mindfulness practice itself comes in. And it starts with the acknowledgement, no, there is a place of peace already here in me. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. How do I get to it? And I tend to think when I begin that, well, I can't be peaceful now. There's all this stuff going on, and I need to think about this. I got to do that. Mindfulness is about learning, if I can get to my peace first, I can do all those things so much better, often faster and easier. But I have to want to be in that state of awareness that's at peace, that's in joy. Another characteristic, it always wishes well for everyone, everything involved in my experience. I have to want to get there. And it's curious, it's almost like, it's that aspect of me wants to pull me there. It will help. And in Christianity, that's associated with the Holy Spirit. I don't know what exactly they call it in Buddhism because I have trouble remembering words, but it wants to help us come into our own peace. If we can understand that, it makes this a little bit easier. So the very, very simple and one practice of mindfulness, I want to be at peace. Oh, wait, I could be at peace. I'm remembering that. Far out. Okay. The second step is I begin choosing, and this is not as simple as it sounds. I want to be at peace. No, I don't. I'm enjoying being pissed off. No, I don't. I need to be afraid and anxious. I got to deal with this. I got to be alert in my brain. So I see where the reason I'm not at peace now is because I didn't want to be. I gave into a reaction from my animal self. So I need to see where I was choosing to not be at peace and choose again, oh, I want to be at peace to deal with this instead of in that state of reaction or anxiety or fear or lust or whatever. That's the second step. It's often the longest. It may take a few seconds. It may take 3 months. It may take 10 years for some topics in our brain. That's all right, because mindfulness is developing a way of living. It's not an end goal, as in a state of instant perfection and never have to do work again. I can assure you at age 70, it's still finding stuff in here that doesn't want to be at peace, and I got to go back to work. So step 1 is remembering, oh, I could be at peace. Step 2 is, yes, I want to go to peace. The third step then is a very singular decision. When I finally get done wrestling with myself saying, oh, I can't afford to be at peace. I got to get this done. I finally say, yes, I choose to return to peace. And you'll feel it. It's a distinctive moment, one instant. And that's immediately followed with, and help me get there. Turning to my own awareness or whatever my concepts of a higher power are and asking it to help me get to that peace. And so that's it. Every practice in the world about this spiritual stuff or mindfulness or Buddhism or Christianity all comes back to that in the end. If I remember it in the beginning and add it into any other practice or interest, it will speed up that practice. And I just say this from experience. It's not a divine rule I'm quoting. Because the goal is for me to be back in my state of awareness. Even if I'm writing a computer program, I do it much better if I'm in my state of peace and allow that state of peace to operate my brain instead of my brain operating itself. That brings us to what some teachings have called the separation. Christianity posts it as the Adam and Eve story. Something happened that humans separated themselves from living from their state of awareness to living as their animal self alone. And those teachings also all talk about the return to unity, where we are back integrated and operating with our state of awareness. So this simple little teaching of mindfulness can integrate any teaching I have ever come across. It's really cool to me. I love this stuff. So first, I have to develop a desire to value and want to be in that state of peacefulness and love, of extension, wishing well. Then I have to learn to recognize what I'm not. Well, the animal self has a state that symbolizes it too, and it's called contraction. When I'm walking in the public, certain characters I see, that's a little suspicious looking. I can feel my body contract. If a bear comes charging out of the woods roaring, I can feel my body contract. If somebody says something I don't like, I can feel a contraction. And those contractions are often stored, and when they're stored, we call them a grievance. It can be something my dad said when I was 4 years old. And if I haven't seen it and said, all right, that's done and over with, I'll let that go now, that can still be operating in me. So every time I hear somebody speak in the same tone of voice my dad used, I can feel that contraction again. So with mindfulness as a practice, we develop enough awareness to remember to just lightweight, constantly watch. Oh, am I open in extension? Am I glad I'm here, you're here? Or am I contracted? Am I wishing this was different, that it would go away, that I could go away? That's all contraction. And it becomes, that's the only two measures I need. So it's very simple. The brain loves complicated, great cosmic theories, profound revelations, and paradigms, and all this. Well, so what? So I get a revelation. What do I do with it the next day? What do I do with it at work? Oh, whatever it revealed of the good, I got to get back to that good myself. I got to do my own mindfulness practice. Oh, so it may sound very boring. The brain will tell us after trying to practice at any length of time, it's boring. It's too simple. I need more meat in my thinking. I'm just here to offer that, boiling down 40 years of pursuing this state of peace, this is what it comes down to. And it seems all the mystics I have read agree with that, and Buddhists seem to agree with that, and the Tao and Jesus. So if we can streamline our practice to this definition of mindfulness. What's mindfulness? Oh, I can be at peace. I want to be at peace. I want to be at peace. I want to be at peace. Okay, a little help, get me there. Once we can do those 4 steps, and they boil down to that, once you don't have to think through them, it becomes a back in my peace. Excuse me a minute. Once we get that, then life becomes an adventure of attempting to live mindfully. Simply because I've begun to value my inner peace. And let it be a lifelong adventure. Yes, there will be moments we make big gains, but they don't come as often as we'd like. And we often find out we took a nice step, but there's still more to do underneath that. And that's part of why Lao Tzu called it the way. It's a way of living. In fact, part of the peace, well, I can have an abstract goal if I'd like to be peaceful all the time. The real peace comes with the fact, damn it, I'm not peaceful today. All right, how do I do my friggin' practice when I'm feeling like this? And we go to work with that. You know, Stefan presents it as the welcoming 100,000 welcomes of the heart. I like that. All this stuff that's in me from my past learning, my past animal nature, the way I've chosen or allowed it to be, needs to come up, and each part of it I will look at with mindfulness. And here's where the power of mindfulness comes in. And it's a real power, I will say. When I feel something come up, say an anger or a hatred, but it applies to everything, a lust or desire as well. When it comes up, I look at it. I step back to my peace and just look at it. And it's like, yep, okay, this is kind of looking ugly to me now. I used to like this energy, but now it looks pretty ugly, this hatred. I want them dead. Yep, there it is. I just look at it. I have to be totally honest and be willing to become even more honest, because the animal is capable of great self-deception. So here I am, I wish they were dead. I'd do it myself if I had the chance. Yep. Didn't know that was in there. Transform me is my prayer. To my own state of awareness or peace, I ask and give it permission. It can reprogram our animal self. Our animal self, I would say, is about 90% programmable. The other 10% is like our genetics, and maybe the nature of a personality. I don't know what comes into this body in the pure life, but we each have a basic personality, and be it music or be it programming or carpentry, we have natural desires. Those seem to be built in, but all the reactions to the world are programmable. So all those things that have been upsetting me or driving me in a tense way can be transformed. I use anger as a basic beginner place because anger always means one thing. I want something to be different than what it is. That's it. When I can get back to my peace and remember that and say, all right, so what do I want to be different? I want them out of my life. I want them. Okay, let's just get back to what do I want to be different. And now my awareness and peace can actually transform that old reactive impulse that comes up. And I've watched it do it. It's amazing. It may take months with some things. That's okay. But eventually, something is just like, oh, yes, that's obviously insane. There's President Trump and his crew. It's insane. I would like that to be different. But right now, I can't do anything about it. I no longer want to shoot them. What's this all about? All I'm doing is just sitting here in peace, looking at the same thing that I was so angry about a moment ago. Oh. At that point, one more step is required. We have to say, yes, I accept this new state. I can't even begin to emphasize how powerful our awareness is at transforming us. It literally can change stuff we were programmed with when we were 2 years old. We don't even consciously know we were programmed. Stuff will come up and then it's like, man, like I got to do this. This is the right way to live life. It has to be done, and it needs to be done this way. And it's like one day I'd rather be at peace. No, I'd rather be at peace. Oh, and you finally see, in a sense, these programs. They don't have a definition or words. You just feel that kind of contracting, cringing energy, and you feel it relax. And it's like, oh, I can do this any way I want to do it. You know? I'd say a whole lot of the people that come through here are people saying, no, I'm not going to live life the way the system says you should live life anymore. But that program is so deep that if we try to do it with our willpower, it's going to be very difficult. And it's going to be a constant struggle because we're not transforming the underlying old pattern. We're just trying to override it or displace it. And that's why, so many self-help things are helpful initially, but people burn out on them because, damn it, that still makes me mad. All right? That's where mindfulness comes into action. It allows us to accept transformation. And related to that is another very cool thing. Our brain believes it is God, and it also believes everybody else should worship me and know that I'm right about pretty much everything. we learn the brain can only process past information. Like a computer, it can only operate with what's on the hard drive. It can't create a new thought or anything new. And the brain says, oh, yes, I can, I've created things. No, our awareness is the creative part. It's always working with us, whether we're aware of it or not. But it is the creator, not the brain. So we learn, this is why the long practices of stillness and piecing out the mind. But those are practices. The good stuff is learning to live with awareness active. Only now, I very frequently, say with every breath I take, split second, check in with my awareness. As my thought stream, no matter what I'm doing, if I'm building a doghouse, I'm going along and just always this little flicker. Awareness can give us new thoughts. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. If I do this, then I won't have that. Okay, I see. These thoughts, like the thoughts that arise in the shower, out of nowhere, those are coming from our awareness. But we learn, I can count on that. So now, when somebody's saying something or I need to do something, up comes all my vast and wonderful store of knowledge from the past, and I want to respond with a reaction. I want to respond from the past. And instead, I pause. If there's something I need to say or do, that thought will come to me. Then I will do it. Ooh. But try that practice and see how bad your brain protests. Oh no, I've been keeping you alive all these years. You're still alive because of my anxiety and fear. Look what a good job I've done. It'll tell us things like that. No, it's safe for me just to remain in stillness all day and then operate my animal from that stillness and cease operating it when it's not appropriate. And that is the hardest challenge for most of us. We have identified ourselves as the animal nature, my personality, my reactions, the way I am. We're very adamant about that's me. Leave me alone. Don't tell me I have to change. I was doing a group one time and this guy yells out, don't tell me what makes me happy. Okay. So if I can recognize that energy in me, that's where I've identified myself as the animal nature. Awakening is a sometimes slow process of learning I have this state of peaceful awareness, that it actually can serve me better than my animal self can serve me. And I want it to be in charge. And I go to it 1,000 times a day. I go to it tens of thousands of times. I go to it 1,000,000 times over the years. And slowly what happens is we re-identify ourselves as, no, I am this space, this being of peace and love and joy. I like seeing beauty. I like wishing well. That's who I am. And I've got this animal that's still got a few rough edges that jumps up, but that's okay. But I know who I am now as this state of awareness. That's what Buddha was pointing at. That's what Jesus was pointing at. And the Tao was. Can you feel that difference? That's the trick, is to feel it. Not all these words about it, but to feel that space. It's just calm. It's vibrant. That's, I often just say, Om, because I feel that inner vitality, that vibration in this funky old body, but the life is still as vibrant as ever. I tune into it as who I am, and then wonder what it's going to do with this body. It's kind of like you begin living in a video game. here I am, I got this character that's stomping around this scene in this world. Oh, okay, what's it gonna do today? And it's all I can offer. It's the most wonderful state to live from. And no, I don't stay there all the time. I'm still working on it as much as anybody, but I can get to it very quickly most times now, and I always remember it's there even when I'm sitting with a present anger or frustration or desire or something. I'm always aware now, all right, I'm going to work. And all I can say is I've never been disappointed in the results when I asked it to transform the animal. I just feel, all in all, it continually makes me a better me. And whatever it is I like to do, I can do it better. And I can do it in peace with the world. And I even used it when I was still programming. I did a whole project always going to mindfulness instead of going to my programming structure and flow charts and methods. And I just, okay, what do I need to do next? Like, look at that book over. That was before internet. You know, look at that book, and then there would be a method of how to go about it. You know, not the details. And then I would get still, and the details would come. I could type for 20 minutes of code, and except for fixing typos, the code would run without error when I did it from awareness. It was fascinating. I mean, it's like, wow, I really can trust this awareness to both transform and run my life better than my animal self can do it. And that's where you make the decision. After those experiences, you can make the decision to shift from I am this personality, I am this animal self, to I am this state of awareness. Then we play with whatever ideas we want, all our cosmic theories or divine theories and all these other practices. If we want to play with ways to transform the animal, that's fine. But I'm keeping my state of awareness present all the time. While I do all that, it's more fun, I would say. And the other gain is that quick now. When I remember it, it will pull me back into my peace most of the time. You can't get there. You can only want to be there and keep asking for experiences and letting it take us there. That's the last challenge, is letting go of the will of the animal, the separated will. It wants to do it itself. Well, myself is more than my animal. It is myself doing it. But it's coming through the awareness as the operator rather than through the reactive animal as being in control. So that's the basics of mindfulness that I offer. I will add one quick note today for a thing to think on with this stuff for the week or so, and that will be on relating versus relationship. And if we're used to brain thinking, we're like, oh, that's a huge topic. That's going to take 10 years. And there's all these aspects, and that's why I love mindfulness. When I go to my awareness, it opens up to you. And it's watching in awareness. And I believe, from experience, that my awareness is connected to your awareness somewhere outside our bodies. And it will give me words or even a gesture or a body language to convey peace to you. And then if there's information I need to convey, I can convey it in peace. And it's like, please don't wash your dirty socks in the kitchen sink. The thing is, relating, I go to awareness, it is peace, it wishes well for you, It wishes well for me equally. And it will give me a modality of relating in the moment. Now, compare that to our idea of relationship. It's like a relationship's this big, complicated, huge, unsolvable thing because, dang, we get a good relationship and I have a great day with you today, and tomorrow, either you're pissed or I'm pissed about something. There's always a tension and a strain. Relating is forgetting it. It doesn't matter what we've defined the relationship to be. Parent, child, spouse, partner, our relationship to our parents, our relationship to people in the world. A relationship is always a definition that either A, I've accepted because I was taught, well, that's how a marriage should work. Or I have defined it myself, that I want our relationship to be like this, which usually means I get what I want and you be a good slave. The whole idea of relationship, if we can learn to spot it as an energy in us, where I want to be in relationship. Oh, I think I'll go look for a new relationship. What am I trying to get? What am I trying to control with that thought? And that sounds rude from what we've been taught. Oh, we all want a lovely relationship. We all want to be in a loving relationship. You can't be in a loving relationship because you'll put a definition on it. You'll lock it down. The last time I did a wedding, I played minister along the way for a while, and I did weddings. The last one I did, I told them, you cannot expect that they are promising to be in love with you forever. All you can do is to promise to keep loving the way you're loving now. You'll always do that. You cannot promise your future, except you can promise you're always going to stay in love. And they liked it, and we formed a whole wedding service around that instead of traditional vows. Because despite our best intentions, the truth is 66% in this country don't make it more than 15 years. I can only promise you or them or God that I will do my best to stay in love and return to love. That's a promise I can make with my whole heart, which incidentally is the vow of becoming a monk at its core. I promise I will return to my awareness, find that place of peace and love, and relate to you from there in each moment. That's the difference between relating and a relationship. And I've been yelled at and screamed at saying, well, you're going to destroy relationships if you teach this. And I can only very kindly say, I hope so. Because holding on to the form of a relationship is a constant strain in the end. Returning to love is a relaxing. And it's giving a relaxation. You're free to be you, And I'm hoping when I go to peace and love, you're going to move in that direction too. And very often that happens between us. Not always, but very often. And we learn by relating from this place of peace, we bring the other person to peace. Very often. And dang, how about that? Now I'm a peacemaker. Blessed be the peacemakers. They shall be called children of God. Oh, that's how that works. See? Mindfulness, it's behind it all. It's like it always goes back to that one tiny practice. Move to my awareness and its peace. Hang out there till I can feel a place where I'm at least neutral, not wanting to kill you or strangle you or whatever, or insult you or okay, there it is. I feel it opening up. Now what do I want to do? That's relating. That's mindfulness. Thank you for listening. Any quick thoughts on this before I turn off the stream?
You'd said that you can quickly get to your peace. There are various tools and suggestions about how that happens. What's yours, if you can share it, and are there others that you recommend?
Well, it came after 30 years of doing this stuff. December of 22, in fact, right before I came here, it just suddenly, something was different. And if I would just think of it at all, I could just feel it pull me right back in. Now, if I'm still angry about something, I come back out again, think of it, pull me. But that came as a gift after 30 years of practice. Mm-hmm. My practice before that was just basically what I have said here. I developed that habit of, wait, I could be at peace. It'd be better for me and the world if I was at peace. Help me get there. Mm-hmm. A lot of help me. Earlier in the adventure, I tried the other practices like, well, think happy thoughts, or think nice things, or remember that's somebody's son or daughter, and that kind of stuff to manipulate my mind and emotions around. But the majority of my years came down, it was from the Course in Miracle teaching of just, wait, it would be better if I was at peace for me and them. Yes, I do want it to be better for them. The trick is recognizing, as Mary Oliver would say, you don't have to be good. In fact, don't try to be good. Just recognize that however your animal wants to feel, I could be at peace. Help me get there. And that was my basic practice for probably the last 15 years before it became sort of automatic. And I still use it when I'm locked out in my anger or my frustration or something.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, my experience was very similar. Different timeline and different background. I had meditated for years, done various practices. But when I started doing centering prayer, the idea and the movement in me of letting go, I believe started to have an effect. And I just continued doing what I was doing, basically. But there came a time, and it was shortly before I moved here, when I just looked back and realized that I didn't recognize myself. I had become a peaceful person with much fewer strong preferences, things that I just felt like I had to have my way, and desire to control my schedule, my everything. You know, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, it's got to be exactly the right brand of yogurt, and the right size and the right, you know. That was just all like it evened out and flowed. Yeah, like a river with all these rocks going down, bounce, and all of a sudden flow into the ocean.
yeah.
You know, so yeah, that was my experience too, and now sometimes it feels like a dropping in, sometimes it feels like a leaning back, as though I was leaning back into a gigantic hand.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think what's also helpful is that you see it reflected in the community. I wish Nathan was here. I see Nathan, remember Josh? When we're eating, you would see them close their eyes and just really enjoy the food. And I was feeling a little anxiety during dinner, and I saw Nathan do that, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like, all right, we'll just close. Because sometimes when you close your eyes, you shut down most of the senses, and that just immediately helped, personally for me. And so when I saw Nathan closing his eyes, it was like, okay, cool, all right, chill, relax, enjoy the food, really savor
Cool.
it. And then Josh taught me that too, so I saw those two reflect each other when they're just like, all right, if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna close my eyes, enjoy the food. And I was like, cool.
That's it.
Yeah. So they helped me out
Yeah.
just by being them, just closing their eyes.
Well, that reminds me, if you ask what the one most powerful thing I'd say anyone can do is get in a group doing this stuff. Even if it's just friends you hook up with by phone once a week. That reflection, an example, and support. I mean, when I was running groups in the past, they were ongoing for like decades. And people didn't come every week, not the same people, but they came for a decade. And we would talk about, oh man, this anger's coming up in me and I don't know what to, and you have 10 other people telling you, yeah, I had to deal with my anger. Kind of like an AA group, but only mindful. But the support of that group, I saw more people change than you would have imagined. I mean, you go along, they might come for 3 years and suddenly, as Barb put it, a different person walked in the door. Something shifted in them permanently. And that was always like, it's the most beautiful thing in the world I could ever see. Stefan asks that sometimes, what's the most beautiful thing? That would be one of them to me, as you watch when somebody just gets it. And now they're on their way. Not perfect, not by any means, but our emotions will smooth out also. And there's a part of us that will scream about that. We're used to living in these intense energies of emotion, good or bad. We become addicted to the stress state, actually. A whole lot of people are addicted to that. And if they drop into their peace, their body feels weird and kind of twitchy because they're not holding it rigid anymore. We got to go through that. But in return, imagine probably all of us here at one time have felt we were so in love with somebody. And it's a wonderful feeling. It can even be with a dog. I mean, you're just so in love. What you get, I get, and I hear reported from others, is like doing this group brings it. It's a state of love that's so intense that you just want to stop talking and just feel it. It's so big. It's big or bigger than any in love I had ever experienced. But there's not so much emotion in it. And again, I'll get yelled at for being rude, but I can love each one of you the same and totally like that. But if you go out of here and get whacked by a semi-truck, I'll be a little bit sad, but it's not going to devastate me. And the human will scream, that's wrong. Play with it, watch, where it says you have to be upset. You have to grieve. Well, when we do grieve, that's what's there and we need to let it grieve. But in time, that changes. It's a different kind. When my partner died, every time I would mention her name, I'd start crying. I still feel that tendency right now saying this. But it wasn't a deep sadness like some people report. And if you have a deep sadness, you work with it, with mindfulness. Like, okay, you just feel it, and underneath it, you'll discover love. You'll discover, strangely enough, a sense of joy. When my partner died, it was very quick from cancer, 6 weeks, diagnosis to gone. And she was my light partner that did this awakening. And I realized in that, the sadness I did experience initially, she got what she wanted. She said so herself in that 6 weeks. I'm ready to go home. I want to be free of this because it was hell. And so there was a joy, strangely. And then your mind says, oh, you can't think that way. You can't, it's wrong. It's like, oh. And so I could enjoy her joy, feel sad, and be bawling all at the same time using awareness, you know? But I don't know how to define, it takes us out of the reign of emotions. They no longer control me or dictate to me how I must feel. They're just a feeling that's there, but there can be several of them at the same time. And they'll come in and out of focus. I could go to work and wouldn't think of Linda all day. And then on the ride home, I'd start crying again. And it's like, it's okay. I don't have to hold on to that grief and be sad all day long to honor her. I've heard people say that. I have to honor their... No, I'll never forget her. I don't need to worry about that. You know, but what I'm trying to get at, it's going to change us in depth to wake up. It's going to mess with things that the brain and emotions call sacred. And that will determine how long it takes. If I think they are sacred, damn it, this is the right way to think, the right way to feel, you'll hear, so be it. You know? It's like the Jewish doctor used to say, you know, your body, your temple, well, that's what our awareness will say to us if we say, that's right, I can't change that. Can't let that change. It'll wait. It's got eternity. But if I can recognize I have to feel this way, I should feel this, I shouldn't feel that, oh, what's going on there? See, now awareness is coming up. What's going on there? Okay, I do feel this. All right. That's sadness. Yeah. I'll just sit there. It's a strange feeling, but why is it that it feels good to feel sad? Oh, I don't look for answers. I just sit and feel it. Sorry, I get going with this stuff. I just love it.
Yeah, just to put it in slightly different words, I think, because you said it. We get to ask ourselves why, you know, what idea, what belief is driving this particular thing, and we get to ask all over again, is that true?
Yes.
You know, and so I've heard it called false programs. That's, you know, maybe we just ought to think about them one at a time than to categorize false programs. But yeah, that's, we grow up with the idea that something is right.
Mm-hmm.
And we're locked in
Yeah.
until we choose to take another look and see if we want to stay locked into
Yeah.
that.
There's not a single energy in us that is wrong. that cannot be transformed to flow in a way that is better for us in the world. So we never are squashing, suppressing, or denying any energy in us, mental, physical, or emotional. It's about seeing all that life. What's it want to do? What's a better way? It won't get me put in jail to use this energy. That's the freedom. That's self-forgiveness. When we can just look and say, okay, here it is. How can this be transformed? So I'm not fighting myself. I'm never in conflict, suppressing an energy. I'm always in the flow, as Barb put it, the river flowing.